From our Chicago studios, this is the Muslim News on Muslim Network TV. Assalamu alaikum, I'm Samana Siddiqui. Our top story tonight, the State Department has confirmed unusual activity was detected on its network last month. Spokesman Matthew Miller says immediate action was taken to secure the system and Microsoft was notified immediately. The tech giant said hackers from China had targeted 25 organizations, including U.S. government accounts. Miller says the incident is under investigation and that the government is monitoring its networks and updating its security procedures. But he says the government has not publicly shared the identity of the cyber attackers. FBI Director Christopher Wray has denied allegations that his agency incited former President Donald Trump's supporters to storm the U.S. Capitol 2 years ago. Testifying before the House Judiciary Committee, Wray said such claims are ridiculous. He stressed the FBI had no prior knowledge of the attack by hundreds of former Trump supporters who stormed Congress on January 6, 2021. Overall, over 2,000 rioters entered the building. They vandalized, looted, and attacked Capitol Police officers and reporters. They also tried to find lawmakers to capture and harm them. It was the first time the U.S. Capitol had been occupied since the British burned it and much of Washington, D.C. during the War of 1812. Tucker Carlson, a former right-wing political talk show host on Fox TV network, claims FBI agents were behind the attack. This theory has been taken up by some Republican legislators. To date, no evidence has been presented to support this claim. A new report has revealed that an aide to Supreme Court Justice Clarence Thomas received money from lawyers who had argued cases before the Supreme Court. The report published in The Guardian shows that Rajan Vasisht, who served as Thomas's aide from July 2019 to July 2021, received 7 payments. Those were made by attorneys who previously served as Thomas's law clerks. The amount of the payments is not disclosed, but the purpose of each payment is listed as a Christmas party. The report has raised concerns about the ethical implications of the payments. Some critics have accused Thomas of using his position on the Supreme Court to enrich himself and his family. Others say the payments could create the appearance of a conflict of interest because the attorneys who made the payments could have future cases before the Supreme Court. Thomas did not comment on the report. Residents of Richardson, Texas are protesting the National Rifle Association possibly moving its headquarters to their neighborhood. They say the NRA wants to move after it filed for bankruptcy in 2021. Veteran community organizer Hadi Jawad says the gun rights lobby group's plan to come to Texas is a desperate attempt to stay solvent to survive. But city officials assured community members that the NRA will not be moving to Richardson. They also say that State Farm, the owner of the building the group reportedly wants to move to, is not offering the space for sublease. Despite the lack of confirmation, many people in the community oppose the NRA's presence in Richardson. They argue that it is responsible for gun violence and that it has no place in America. A new study has found over 900 endangered plant and animal species are not protected from laws governing international trade. They are not covered by the Convention on International Trade in Endangered Species of Wild, Fauna, and Flora, which became law in 1975. That currently protects more than 6,000 animals and over 34,000 plants from overexploitation. The study's authors say these findings underscore the need for reforms to the International Convention to ensure that more species are protected. They're also calling for increased monitoring and enforcement efforts. The study was led by Oxford University and published in the journal Nature, Ecology, and Evolution. Climate change hits women and girls harder. Details after the break, so stay tuned and we'll be right back. Welcome back. Several studies have found that women are hit harder than men when it comes to natural disasters caused by climate change. The number of women who have lost their lives in these disasters is 14 times higher than that of men. That's according to a study by researchers at the University of Texas, the University of Minnesota, and Arizona State University. Amber Fletcher, a sociologist at Canada's College of Regina, says women in the global south are particularly hard hit by disasters. She says many women cannot swim and are left behind in disasters such as floods. Studies by the World Health Organization also say that the effects of climate change hit women harder because biologically they need more water. If they do not achieve proper levels of personal hygiene due to insufficient water supply, especially during menstruation and during before and after childbirth, they're more affected by infection-based diseases. In a show of solidarity, Palestinian President Mahmoud Abbas visited the refugee camp in the West Bank city of Jenin on Wednesday. It was his first visit to Jenin since 2012. Abbas does not normally visit Palestinian cities, with the exception of Bethlehem at Christmas. Israeli soldiers targeted the Jenin refugee camp in raids that killed 13 people, injured about 100, and drove thousands from their homes last week. Abbas said the heroic Jenin camp had resisted aggression and made sacrifices for the homeland. The Palestinian president thanked the United Arab Emirates and Algeria for their donation for the reconstruction of the refugee camp. He said East Jerusalem is the capital of the state of Palestine, and Palestinians will stand firm and not leave the land. International Criminal Court Prosecutor Karim Khan has expressed concern over food ration cuts for Rohingya refugees in Bangladesh. Last month, the World Food Programme was forced to cut food rations for Rohingya refugees following a funding shortfall. The World Food Programme cut food rations from $10 to $8 per month per person starting June 1st. This was after a previous reduction in March. Khan led a 10-member delegation to Bangladesh last week. While there, he met with top officials, including Prime Minister Sheikh Hasina and members of the Rohingya community. He says the issue is important not only on a humanitarian level, but also for security and stability in the camps. He said the Rohingya should not be forgotten and justice should be done for them. More than 1 million Rohingya have been living in refugee camps in Bangladesh since they fled the Burmese military's genocide against their community in August 2017. Residents of opposition-held enclaves in Syria have expressed concern at the UN Security Council's failure to extend the mechanism for delivering aid. The agreement, which was in place since 2014, allowed food, water, and medicine to be delivered to the region without the Syrian government's approval. Russia vetoed a 9-month extension of the agreement. The Syrian government regularly denounces these aid deliveries as a violation of its sovereignty. Russia has gradually eroded the agreement over the years. According to the UN, more than 4 million people in northwestern Syria are in need of aid. Save the Children has warned that the lives of millions of children depend solely on aid deliveries through the Bab al-Hawa border crossing. The conflict in Syria has claimed the lives of more than 500,000 people, displaced millions, and severely damaged the country's infrastructure and industry. Originally, the cross-border aid agreement allowed 4 points of entry into rebel-held Syria. However, under pressure from China and Russia in the Security Council, it was reduced to just one, Bab al-Hawa. After a devastating earthquake in February, Syria agreed to open 2 more border crossings under the control of Turkey-backed rebels. Permits for these crossings will expire in mid-August. 3 Uyghur groups have received grants from the Elie Wiesel Foundation for Humanity. This is for their work in raising awareness about China's human rights abuses against their community. The grants total hundreds of thousands of dollars. They were awarded to organizations working for Uyghur rights, education, and the preservation of Uyghur culture. The 3 groups are the Germany-based World Uyghur Congress, the U.S.-based Uyghur Human Rights Project, and Anna Care and Education. The grant supports organizations that align with the values of Wiesel, who was a writer, educator, activist, and Holocaust survivor. Elisha Wiesel, Elie Wiesel's son and chairman of the foundation, says the plight of the Uyghurs is now the world's largest genocide, but little attention is being given to it. A Muslim cycling group in London has been using its passion for cycling to raise over $200,000 for charity for the last 10 years. The Hope and Knowledge Cycle Club organizes 3 main events. The National Ride is a charity bike ride between 2 cities in the UK. The 3 Cities Ride is a charity bike ride between 3 cities in Europe. And the Hijra Ride is a charity bike ride between the 2 holiest cities in Islam, Mecca and Medina. In the past, the club has raised money for a number of causes, including building a school in Mali, providing food for earthquake victims in Turkey, and funding heart surgery for children in Tanzania. The club is open to all, irrespective of their religious background. It has grown significantly over the past decade and now has over 140 members. The club was founded by Shamsul Abedin, who wanted to create a space where Muslim cyclists could come together and ride for a cause. That's all from our Chicago studios tonight. Thank you for tuning in. You can subscribe to our YouTube channel and hit the bell icon for the latest updates. For more content, keep watching Muslim Network TV or visit muslimnetwork.tv. Salam and good night.